Today's press conference is going to be chaired by the Deputy Commissioner of the Commission, and we normally refer to him as Commander, and he's the People's Deputy Commissioner. And so I now hand you over to our able Deputy Commissioner, Augustine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ture. Before Commissioner just came in, I was talking to you that you are a very reliable partner with so much trust in you, we believe in you, and we are satisfied with the work we have been doing collectively in the fight against corruption. So that's the reason why before each year ends, we call you, we share knowledge, experiences, we share funds together. And at the beginning of the year also, we call you, we share certain things with you. Today is no exception. So we are here to discuss major activities we envisage to undertake during the year, and some specific ones that the Commissioner will be talking to you about. On that note, let me welcome you and hand you over to the Commissioner, the man who is dangerously educated, the People's Commissioner.
Thank you, the People's Deputy. Thank you. I must start by thanking the Audit Service Sierra Leone for their usual great work in identifying systemic problems in our governance architecture, particularly as they deal with the resources of the state. And year in, year out, they give us a picture of what is happening with financial management. But beyond financial management, other administrative controls and systems that are geared towards improving our governance framework, how we monitor ourselves, how we supervise ourselves, the accountability systems we've created, and also the transparency regimes that are in place to help the country develop. And it is just sad that every year we have a picture that maybe some will not smile about, and most of us frown at. So again, they have come out with another report on the financial year 2023, which creates a grim picture of how governance systems are working in our ministries, departments, agencies, foreign embassies, etc., etc. We at the Commission always take our time to view these reports, and then we consult with Parliament, who by constitutional mandate have primary control over the Auditor General's report, and they also have primary responsibility over the Auditor General's report. But I have spoken with Parliament, particularly Honorable Tawa Conte, who is heading the Public Accounts Committee, and we have discussed this at length. And I have always maintained since I was made Commissioner two things. One, Parliament has the powers, but by creating the Anti-Corruption Commission in the year 2000, they delegated some of that powers to us. and they did not limit it. There is nowhere in the Anti-Corruption Act where Parliament said that the ACC cannot interact with the Auditor General's report. That the ACC cannot hold people accountable based on the Auditor General's report. Where Parliament intending that, they have full powers to do it. Therefore, we view the Auditor General's report like every other source of information on corruption. So if we see that there are parts or aspects of the Auditor General's report that requires our attention, it is almost the same as a whistleblower. So to us, the Auditor General's report is a whistleblower's report. And we have a mandate to act on whistleblowers' report. That notwithstanding, we are a consultative body. And we have been consulting with Parliament throughout. We always give deference to them. We give respect to their mandate because by Section 107 of the Constitution, they are the supreme legislative authority in Sierra Leone. And we also give respect to them because they respect our institution. So, for example, yesterday morning, whilst I was planning for this press conference, I had to call the Honorable Tower Conte and request the report of what they have done on the 2022 Auditor General's report. So that that report can inform as to what we do with the 2023 Auditor General's report, which has come out with similar problems and issues. I know that they have done a great work already, which is far, far, far better than what had been existing, because one of the reasons why ACC between 2018 and 2023 was very actively involved with Auditor General's report was because the parliaments before that were not really taking the report very seriously. They were not doing the things they were promising to do. But last year we saw a remarkable change. And with the introduction of the Honorable Tawa as Public Accounts Committee Chairman, and other personnel who are working with him in that committee, we saw that there was a system to at least hold public institutions accountable, to ask questions, to ask them, and he has made pronouncements on radio, television, and programs and meetings that they have been able to solve some of the problems. We would want to see that report on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. We will want to see how far they went. And another thing I had a conversation with Honorable Conte with yesterday was that what we don't want at ACC is for there to be impunity in the system. For there to be impunity in the system, there has to be some form of responsibility and accountability. So it's not just for people to come, because one thing we have known, because we sell our agents when these committees are meeting, the issues come up and they will identify that, oh, this is something that we should refer to the ACC. And the people will start begging them, no, please, let's try to solve it here. Let's not take it to the ACC. And most times they succumb to that. Which is fair. Which is fine if they think in their discretion that is how to handle it. But it will be good for us to see the report. It will be good for the people of Sierra Leone to see the report of that. And then we can continue with the deference that has been given to Parliament. And by deference, I mean respect that has been given to Parliament to handle Auditor General's report. In that regard, we will continue consulting with Parliament. And this conversation we are having today is by no means sacrosanct. It's just to lay out our own plans and intentions with the Auditor General's report, subject to our consultations with Parliament in that regard. So we have done the usual breakdown of what is contained in the Auditor General's report, where we identify the various headings of problems, we identify the amounts involved, we identify the personnel responsible, and sometimes the institutions responsible, and then we remark what we at the ACC would want to do with it, subject to consultations with Parliament. There is no impunity in the system. Because one thing is clear. Most of the problems in this report are a human problem. They are a human factor problem where, like I have said, his finance director or his HR director, either that person is just not competent to play that role, or if he's competent, he is either reckless or negligent. And because he's reckless or negligent, he does not really know what to do when it comes to dealing with auditors or to provide information to them. But more generally, to run a public institution. But if that too is not the case, then the person is just outright corrupt. And because the person is corrupt, they create all kinds of schemes, systems, and models to stifle public institutions from performing their mandate, from succeeding at their mandate, or otherwise collude with their leaders. And when I say leaders, it could be leaders on top or below, to actually cause some of the problems that are contained in the Auditor General's report. And most importantly, it's also a supervision problem. Those who head those institutions, those who supervise those institutions, need to do a little bit more to hold their personnel accountable. And one thing about Sierra Leone is this: you can delegate, but it cannot stop there. You have to follow up and follow through. So you delegate to somebody to perform a particular role, and as a leader, you have to constantly follow up. If you tell somebody, write a letter, we are going to send it at 11 a.m. to Parliament, you have to come to the office in the morning and call the person and ask, have you started drafting this letter? If the person says, I've started drafting, at 10:30 you call the person again to say, can you send me a draft, let me see it. And then you see the draft before now the final comes. If not, you will die of heart attack at 11 o'clock. Because you call the person and ask, where is this letter? The letter may not be ready. And then that becomes a supervision problem. Majority of the issues in the Auditor General's report are a supervision problem. And that calls to leadership of institutions to be a little bit more responsible, to take responsibility. If you are made a minister, you are a minister. Play your role as minister. If you are a director, play your role and responsibilities as a director. And that includes supervision. But supervision does not only stop at asking questions. There has to be a balance with accountability. You have to hold your personnel. If you are not willing to hold your personnel accountable, you create a system that is not consequence-based. So somebody who is supposed to send a letter to Parliament at 11 o'clock comes at 11 o'clock and tells you, sir, I forget, sir. Okay, you forgot, but then what happens? There has to be a consequence. You are paid to come to work every day to make sure, and part of your duties include when auditors come and they want the HR register of the institution, how many personnel are there, you give them the record. If you do not give them the record and they now come later and say there are ghost workers in this institution, and that is the time you start panicking, oh, where are these ghost workers? No, they are not ghost workers. Here is the document, sir. Look at them. Oh, when these auditors came, we did not give it. In a world where there's a consequence-based system, you tell the person, okay, thank you, you've given me the record, but you have caused us embarrassment. And that means there has to be a consequence. You will be suspended. You could be dismissed. Let the person go and sit with their family and children to ponder how they abdicated or failed in their responsibility. And that is not wickedness. That is duty. That is loyalty to state and country. That is responsibility. And above all, that is accountability. If we all are willing to run institutions that way, I am telling you, these things in this Auditor General's report, almost half of them will disappear without question. Hold a staff or team member responsible if you are calling him to share public revenue with him. Money that was allocated to your department to buy healthcare. How much has come? He says 1 billion has come, sir. You say, okay, let us keep fighting ourselves. And that genius shares this with you. and then that junior does not provide documents to audit service Sierra Leone, how are you going to hold that junior responsible? What moral fortitude would you have to question him? And I can assure you, we are aware. Sometimes these juniors don't provide the evidence. They are afraid, they are timid, they are intimidated. But they come to me and tell me this is what is happening. My minister called me and said, let us keep half of the money and just spend half. And the balance, let's share it among ourselves. Now, and this is one of the reasons why you in the press say the ACC does not go after the tigers. We instead go after the flies. Now let me explain the science of that to you. In most of these ministries, departments of agencies, the actual evidence does not touch the tigers. A minister, for example, is not vote controller of the ministry. That means the minister does not even sign for money to come out. It is lower level staff, director of finance, director of administration, procurement officer. Those are the people who names. The director general comes in the morning, calls a meeting, and basically says, okay, I think this is what we should do. They implement. And by that implementation process, they are the ones who the evidence touch. They are the ones who sign the vouchers. They are the ones who sign the checks. They are the ones who do the withdrawal. So when ACC now, for example, when audit service has identified revenue not traced to the CRF, which decision is this now? This is general purpose financial statement. Revenue not traced to the CRF, 34 million. Now, this kind of revenue not traced in the system could have ended into the bank accounts or into the hands of the tiger. Let's say the minister, the director general, the commissioner, or whosoever. But when we go and check, the person who has the responsibility to bank that money is who? Is the director of finance. When we now arrest the director of finance, people say, oh no, you are only going after this one, you are not going after. The evidence is with him. The first person who should ask questions is him. Where is the money? It's only when they have the courage to come with evidence to us to show that the minister asked me to take this money to his or her girlfriend or boyfriend. And that evidence is compelling to us that we can even talk to the minister. But in the process, the press and people in the country will be saying ACC is only concerned with the lower people. And that is why that happens. And in this Auditor General's report, we have a plethora of issues that we believe should not be a waste of time. They should be dealt with quickly, fast, and probably spontaneously. There are those who've identified to be investigation issues. There are those who've identified to be prevention issues. There are those who identify to be administrative issues. It's just administration. Somebody just needs to do something administratively. So we start with ministries, departments, and agencies. For example, there is revenue not traced to the CRF fund, which includes GST, income tax, oil companies, and mining companies, about 34 million new lieues. So every amount I'm going to call this will be in new lieues. That should be investigated, and somebody asks question as to why. Duty waivers given to individuals, institutions without documentation, amounting to about 11 million lieues. Whenever I call 11 million lieues, think it as billion lieues. So if it is 34 million now, think it as 34 billion lieues. So let's first correct our mindset in that regard, because we have changed the currency nomination in our country, and sometimes it brings confusion. So 34 million lieues is not the old 34 million lieues. It's actually the old 34 billion lieues. Jesus. So, we have aspects of Ministry of Agriculture. For example, list not paid by private business organizations for combined harvesters and dryers. It's just something that was not done. But audit service like to quantify things in money. It is easier to present. Salary paid to deceased staff. Imagine, Ministry of Agriculture paid 13 million euros to a deceased staff. Now imagine if that happens at the ACC and I am the ACC commissioner. You think that director of finance is going to remain in this institution? He will just dismiss himself. Except he has a very good explanation for it. And these are some of the things I'm talking about. Salary paid to staff not available for physical inspection, amounting to 400,000 euros. That's not too much of money, but that is found itself in this report. Means somebody ought to have done something that they just did not do. If the staff is not available for inspection when auditors come, and let me give, auditors sometimes come for a minimum of 2 weeks. Why is the staff not available for inspection? Is that something that we should waste state resources to be holding parliamentary meetings for months and months to ask questions why staff at agriculture did not submit themselves for meeting? Why can't the person at ministry or HRMO just dismiss whoever was responsible for it and pay part of their benefits or salary to the state for this kind of problems? Or those staff who did not present themselves for verification. Why is that not an administrative issue? A query or some form of responsibility? Should we waste the time of the ACC to start calling them, ACC come, why were you not there? Is that a valuable use of the resources of the state for such anomalies? Sierra Leone Chamber of Agribusiness Development, SLICA, absence of reliable records justifying the utilization of funds. Records of how you use public funds that was given to you. You did not give it to auditors. And these are the same people, when we ACC now go in to investigate, they come with all kinds of records immediately. So the question is, why didn't you give this record to? The consequence of that person, most times, nothing. Some of them even come back to me and say, okay, we have come, Commissioner, we received this, your letter, we want you to tell us what to do. You're asking me what to do in your institution for a staff who has behaved badly administratively. You don't have a manual on HR policies on people who do gross misconduct. You don't have a manual on people who do not take their responsibilities seriously. You don't have a manual on insubordination. You don't have a manual that directs how staff are to be treated administratively when they do bad. So if I send it back to you to say, take administrative action against this person, you come to me to say, I have received your letter, but we want you to tell us what to do. When I have said discipline the person. Seed multiplication project. Rent from a client not paid to bank or brought to account. 138 million. Rent. Somebody comes and paid rent to the institution. And somebody did not put this into the bank account. Sierra Leone Agri-Business Initiative. Harvest rice not accounted for. Harvested rice and maize not accounted for. So they harvested rice and maize, but nobody knows what happened with the rice. Embassies all over the world, but impress not retired. So somebody was giving money, say go and spend it, but when you come back, you have to explain how to pay it. Nothing. Payment made without agreement. Withholding taxes not paid. Pay as you earn, deducted, not paid. Child allowance paid for children over the age of 18 years. So there is a rule in the ministry that if you travel with your children to foreign missions, when the child passes 18 years, the government no longer pays child allowance for that because it's no longer a child technically. Let the person go and find a job. But somebody continues to pay that. That's a system problem. It's administrative. Excess expenditure without approval. That is 1,183,000. When there is no approval, you continue spending. No approval came. There could be justifications for these things, but then somebody has to check so that we don't have these things coming into the original report by taking action to correct it. And there are a host of other things under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ministry of Health, another ministry that has a lot of issues usually in the Auditor General's report. There are fixed assets not available for inspection and verification. So fixed assets like these tables, these are fixed assets. Buildings, these are fixed assets. We have national emergency services, statutory deductions not paid to NIH. So they withdraw whenever we pay. Statutory deductions are things like NACIT, they are NIA, pay as you earn, PAYE. So they are cut automatically. They are supposed to just be paid to NIA. So for example, at the ACC, every month when we pay salaries, the last thing that happens is for me to sign the documents that pay all the statutory fees in the commission. 2 or 3 days after the payment of salary. And then they get taken to the various institutions, NACIT, NRA, or any other statutory institution. Now, why do you keep such a money in your institution? But I have also come in defense of the public institutions. I have come to find out that sometimes they claim, and I must say they claim, that the government pays them less than what is possible to pay salaries and to also pay those taxes. That is their claim. And some I have seen justifications to confirm that they were paid not enough for them to be able to pay both salaries and pay those taxes. Then that is a serious anomaly. Because those payments are statutory. It is the law saying this has to be done. Even the ministry does not have the powers to just unilaterally decide. There has to be a process. If they want to waive it, they can waive it. A lot of discretion is sometimes given to the Minister of Finance. But if they do not fix them, they will be captured in the auditor's report, and these things happen. So we have various ministries. Ministry of Basic and Senior Education has non-payment of supplies to TLMs, payment for WAS fees not brought to account, salary paid to staff not available for physical verification. You see how the same issues are recurring ministry to ministry. Withholding taxes deducted, Ministry of Basic Education again. Withholding taxes deducted and not paid. There are a host of issues under the Ministry of Defense. We have Ministry of Development, unsupported documents, registration or renewal of NGOs. These are revenues that they renew, and then it does not go into the consolidated revenue fund, and they are revenues. A few issues under the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education, Ministry of Works and Public Assets, excess costs included in rental payments. So, rental payments include excess costs. and payments for works not done. Payments for works not done. So they pay for work to be done, and it's not done, and those amounts are all there. And these are all things that could be fixed with supervision and accountability. Because these are contractors. You can easily, the ministry can sue them and sell their assets and pay back to government if they cannot do the work that they signed to do. Some of them have performance guarantees, which they provide to these ministries to do the work. So if they don't do the work, why doesn't the ministry go after the advance payment guarantees or the performance guarantees that they take as bonds? A few issues under the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, and most of them, as I am seeing them, because I don't want to waste too much time on this, some of them are withholding taxes that are not paid. Similar problems, similar issues. Ministry of Youth Affairs, inadequate control over disposal of assets, amounting to 10 million. Ministry of Mines and Mineral Resources, salary paid to contract staff without employment contract. Do you see why I said these things are mostly administrative? How can you pay a salary to a contract staff without a contract? What does that even mean? And we have some provincial secretary's office, payment for works not done, withholding taxes not paid, immigration department, salary paid to staff not available for physical inspection, the same problems. Recurring. Human Resource Management Office, salary paid to staff not being available for inspection. Sierra Leone Police HQ, salary paid to staff not available for inspection. Sierra Leone Correctional Services, taxes not paid to NIA. Sierra Leone Correctional Services, salary paid to staff not available for inspection. Judiciary of Sierra Leone, withholding taxes not paid to NIA. Judiciary of Sierra Leone, revenue collected but not banked. Office of the Chief Minister, withholding taxes not paid to NIA. Office of the Chief Minister, staff not available for verification. Office of the Vice President, salary paid to staff not available for physical inspection. So basically, as I have gone through the issues with the Ministry of the ministries, departments, and agencies, I am sure there is no doubt in your mind that the issues are all similar. It's either revenue not banked, staff not available for inspection, asset issues, and things that are really administrative or supervisory. If we increase our supervisory capacities in Sierra Leone, leadership do what has to be done as leaders properly, I am telling you, this Auditor General's report could have been empty. How do we have more than 25 ministries, departments, of agencies where staff are not available for verification? Why? There are other institutions which I will just go through briefly, apart from the ministries, departments, of agencies. We have local councils, the same problems. Revenue collected, not banked. Freetown City Council. Freetown City Council, withholding taxes not paid. Payment to contractors without evidence of work. All of them are administrative. Kono District, unsupported payments. Cambia District, withholding taxes not paid. Unsupported payments. Kailaun District, withholding taxes not paid. Staff employment records not submitted. Kwedu New Sebeun City, withholding taxes not paid. PAYE not paid. Fixed asset not available for verification. Revenue not banked. Western Rural, revenue not banked. PAYE not paid. Bombali district, PAYE not paid, withholding tax is not available. Carina district, PAYE not paid, withholding tax is not paid. Falaba, withholding tax is not paid, unsupported documents. Port Local, City Council, withholding tax is not paid. Kenema District Council, withholding tax is not paid. Yeah. Kenema City, inadequate staff documentation. Moyamba District, fixed assets not available for verification. Moyamba District, staff loan not recovered. Tonkolini District, unsupported payments. Bo District, unsupported payments. Administrative. These are not monies that you will say somebody went and stole. It is not even corruption in the corruption sense that we know it. It's just failure of leadership. Supervision. Holding people who work under you accountable. Giving proper explanations to auditors when they come. Taking the audit service seriously. If you go to diplomatic missions, the same thing. Revenue collected by individuals were not paid into government's coffers. It's the same issue in almost all ministries. Embassy of Monrovia, Liberia, staff social security contribution not paid. Embassy of Monrovia, Liberia, NACIS records not submitted. Embassy Monrovia, use of consular funds to settle shortfalls in payments for security services. Embassy of Ghana, Accra, medical expenses not accounted for. Embassy Accra, Ghana, end of service benefits without relevant documentation. Embassy of Ghana, various amounts not accounted for by the finance attaché, amounting to over $8,000 to $8,000, $11,000, and $10,000. Embassy of Conakry, Guinea, NACIS contributions not paid. And the same embassy in Guinea, expenditure of $5,850 not verified. And then we have donor projects and coordination. So basically, I don't have to go over this. What this tells you clearly is that our problems can be fixed if only we introduce a lot more discipline in the system. If only we are ready to ensure that there's accountability in public institutions. If only we can hold ourselves a little bit more accountable and be a little more serious with our respective responsibilities as leaders of this institution. And I know the president of Sierra Leone actually wants this to happen. He wants a country of discipline. He wants the people who understand that their responsibilities. When he tells me sometimes, he says, Francis, when I make somebody a director general, I want him to be the director general. I don't want to micromanage him. But some of these people, to sack their own staff, they have to come to me to ask me whether they should sack the staff. I know the president of Sierra Leone means business when he says he wants the destiny of this country to be changed for good. And we are going to continue working with institutions to make sure that this happens. So, this is what you have. If the ACC is to act on this, most of the issues you have, if you see what's against them in our remarks, is quick fix, quick fix, quick fix, quick fix, quick fix, quick fix. This Auditor General's report can be completed in less than 6 months. We will be consulting with Parliament for them to allow us to do that with some of these quick fixes. And then the ones that are more complex, that they want to engage with, they can engage with them. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the plan of action of the ACC. But more importantly is for you to understand what this Auditor General's report is really about and how we all can continue to support ourselves, support the leadership of the country, support the president of Sierra Leone to continue to change the story of this country so that we do not go back to where we were. What we want at the ACC is to make sure that impunity is not in the system. And for there to be impunity, not to be in the system, is not just to hold people and lock them up in prison. Even just sometimes suspending somebody is a consequence. Dismissing them from their job is a consequence. Transferring them is a consequence. Holding them accountable, reprimand, even just a warning letter is a consequence. But most importantly, where it is serious, charging them to court for them to take responsibility for their actions is a very significant consequence. And we all have to ensure that we see that Sierra Leone moves towards that. I thank you all and I welcome you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for painstakingly explaining the things that are responsible for where we are as a nation. Now it's question and answer time. Don't worry, let me guide you. Firstly, when you want to ask, so your name, the institution you're coming from, and you address the issues raised here, so we cannot waste unnecessary time. Secondly, if somebody has already asked or expressed concern about the issues raised, don't go over it again, so that we will not be here for the rest of the day. Thank you. So, because I'm vertically challenged, let me stand so that I'll be able to give opportunity. Yeah, you, the gentleman there. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Good all. My name is Amos. I'm reporting for Free Radio, Master TV, and Eyewitness News. My concern here is I am addressing my question to the Commissioner. We've had him mention various ministries and departments and agencies that are in the Auditor General's report, but we've not evidentially had him mentioning the ACC. So my question is, was the ACC audited or not? If they were audited, why is the ACC not mentioning that?
Okay, thank you. Then, yes, gentlemen.
So according to the ACC, he said most of the issues or reports in the Auditor General's report happen as a result of failure of the heads of the institution to supervise their institution. So my question is, I want to know if there are, if not, or will be consequences for the heads of those institutions that fail to supervise their institutions. So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you very much. Nobody from my back. Yes, sir.
I'm Mohammed Kumar of the Washington. Mr. Commissioner, sir, upon investigations conducted, a school of thought says the problem of corruption in this country will never be solved except you, the ACC, review your constitutions, which gives you the power, someone to pay and let him go free. They say someone will pay the money, like the United States of America or anywhere in the world, pay the money, go to jail, seize his assets, then let the money go to the states. That you see, no one else will venture next year, because we've been getting this problem over decades. The problem of corruption is not about ethnicity, it's not about political affiliation, it's not about religious affiliation. It's something like a genetic virus which is among the civil and public servants in this country.
Thank you very much. Yes, one more. Okay. Commissioner. No, somebody.
My name is my question goes to the Commissioner. Commissioner, normally when the Auditor General's report is out, there will be some people who spend their Christmas with you here. Do you have any suspect in your custody here as a result of the Auditor General's report?
Okay, after we will give another opportunity to.
All right, thank you very much for your very brilliant question. Amos?
for Free Radio, Massy TV, and I will say, why is the ACC not included in the general report? The ACC is audited every year.